Okay, Shalom. First and foremost, we give all praises and glory to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushua, B'Shem Kakadash. And double honors to the apostles of Jim Ruba. Shalom to the faithful men, always continue doing the work of the Lord. Now, Lord willing, I want to speak on the topic of, the brothers, pretty much reliving out the scriptures because, today, brothers don't have big homes and, or big buildings that we can meet up together. We don't have those type of resources, and really it's the same thing as it was in the ancient world. In the ancient world, a lot of us was poor. A lot of us was getting persecuted. So what we had to do was we had to meet each other in each other's homes. You know what I'm saying? And, and I love that about, when you go to a different country, not country, but a different city. I wish I could go visit brothers in different countries. But if you go to different cities, you visit brothers and maybe, it might be a lot of brothers, and y'all might have to all sleep in the living room or something, or whatever the case is, and we okay with that, I don't know how IUIC do it, they probably got the luxury shit, but we okay with that, man, because, we ain't all bougie and shit, man, Jake can sleep any fucking where, man, we can sleep on the couch, sleep on the floor, sometimes that shit comfortable, and be content with it. We're not, like I said, we're not bougie. We're not gonna be like with the special treatment, like I need this, I need that, and the third. We'll be okay with that. So then, when Jacob's trouble happens, we're gonna be okay with it, man. Because there's gonna be times where we're gonna be sleeping in abandoned houses and stuff like that. I remember I had a dream years ago. I spoke about it a few times, but I had a dream that I was fleeing Columbus and I was going somewhere in the outskirts of Ohio because I know we was getting persecuted. We was driving and I looked up, I seen a drone following us, trying to scan us and shit. And then it was me and it had like 2 wives or some shit. And then we ended up finding this abandoned house on the outskirts of Ohio. They ended up finding us, and I remember I was all the way in the back room, and I came out, and they bust open the door. It was like a SWAT or whatever. They bust open the door. I went outside to the hallway. I looked down, and I seen them come in with the guns, and I went back inside the room, and they came back out. All of them were just laying dead on the ground, So also, the Lord's gonna lift that standard. But we're going to be a little uncomfortable, man. It's going to go right back to this right here. You see? Where brothers was packed up in homes and shit like that. In another dream, Shalaka, real quick, one of my favorites, it was short and sweet. It was me and this brother. I don't know who he was, but I remember he was this light-skinned brother. We was in twos. Me and him was fleeing. I could tell he was getting persecuted. And then we met up at this woman's home. I don't think it was none of our wives. It was just a woman that was just, doing charity for us. We knocked on the door. She opened it. And she was like, "Yeah, y'all can come and sneak and live in the basement. You can hide in here. So it's gonna be times like that. You read that in Elijah, and I believe Elisha too. When they was, I know Elijah when he was fleeing or walking around, not fleeing, but the Lord told him to move because it was a drought, a famine, a drought, and then the Lord told him eventually the brook it dried up, and the Lord told him to move, and then he been up to this city, I believe, and it pretty much was a woman and her child. And then the woman looked out for him. She showed great faith. He said, "Make some food for me first." And that's what she did. She helped that prophet, and the Lord blessed her. They was able to not run out of food. And then when her son, I always get those two stories mixed together. But somebody's son died, and then the Lord returned the favor through the prophet. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta notice that too, man. There's gonna be people out here, because not every single person is a prophet. There's gonna be people out here that's gonna help us too. Oh, you can stay here, man. Like an underground railroad type shit, man. You can lay low here. And I won't be surprised. I mean, who knows, bro? I mean, shit. During the time of slavery, I believe, some certain Edomites was helping us. Hired and shit. I mean, I don't know. Who the fuck knows, man? Matter of fact, I can say that confidently, actually, because Rahab, she was a heathen, and she hid those 2 spies. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it might be some shit like that. It might be a fucking heathen, be like, you know what, y'all can stay here, man. I got my, like I said, Underground Railroad type shit. Look at the time of slavery. You had homes that had secret departments and shit. They're like a fucking a bookcase or something, but in reality, it's something that leads to the fucking basement or something. Yeah, man. Hey, man, the Lord about to do some wonderful shit, man. He about to deliver us in some crazy shit in ways that we ain't gonna think of, man. But anyways, it says in the book of Acts, particularly in Acts 2 and 46. All right, let me read that real quick. Matter of fact, let me finish this point. It says the early church believers met in their homes to break bread and share meals. According to Acts 2:46, it says Bible Gateway, this practice, alongside meeting in the temple courts, was a way for the believers to maintain fellowship, share resources, and engage in communal worship. Right. So let's get that real quick. All right. And I remember elder brothers made that point too before. That also we can go to any fucking city pretty much, any major city pretty much in America, and we gonna be good. Let's say if I was fleeing to fucking Detroit, I know I'll be good. I know there's brothers up there that will you can stay here, man. If I go to Cleveland, if I go to Chicago, if I go, Dallas, Atlanta, DC, you know what I'm saying? There's gonna be brothers everywhere that you can stay here, man. And brothers don't charge and shit like that. I'm talking about as far as when you go travel. Like, say brothers want to go visit their brothers in DC. They're not gonna be like, well, yeah, you can stay here, but you got, we're gonna charge like a hotel. Like, nah. Brothers open their doors for us, man, and that's on that level. So it's gonna come a time where brothers are gonna have to really open their doors for brothers. It might be a brother fleeing a city because one city might be fucked up, and he might have to flee, and he might have to come down to you. And it might be 5 brothers, and y'all might be stacked the fuck up, and all y'all can really do is sleep in the living room. And then, but guess what? We were already built for this shit, man. We're already, we used to this shit. We used to trials and tribulation and having less. This is Acts 2. In 41, then they that Galilee received his word were baptized, and the same day there were added unto them about 3,000 souls. Yeah, man. So because there's gonna be a lot of brothers, coming in at the last hour. It might be, that the Lord might do that again. You know what I'm saying? It might be a couple thousand brothers all at once, a couple hundred, maybe in 20s, maybe in 30s. You know what I'm saying? But it says, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread, and in prayers. So brothers would go to other brothers' homes and break bread, eat shit. Hey, I remember when we went to Chicago, because it was a lot of brothers was meeting, a lot of different camps was meeting up in Chicago. And then when we left, we stopped in, I think that's when, that was a different time. I think we were just visiting Chicago. And then when we went on the way back, you gotta go through Indianapolis, or at least through Indiana. So we stopped in Indianapolis and went to the Elder Demashapot house, because he knows the brother, the big guy. You know what I'm saying? And then the Pansa Ramla was there, and other brothers came in fellowship. You know what I'm saying? And then we had, I forgot what that shit called, that little board, that food. It's like a board, and it's all kind of foods, like cheese and slices of meat and like crackers and shit like that. I forgot the damn zucchini bird. I don't know what the hell that shit called. But we was eating that shit, man. And the apostle was like, hey, man, y'all brothers dig in, because it's going to be like this. Jacob trouble, we're going to have to be sharing each other's food, man. It might not be a lot of food, but, shit, all that shit, we had all that. It fed the whole fucking house, man. And it really wasn't that much. It wasn't a 5-course meal. It wasn't, it wasn't a comfort food. It was very healthy. It wasn't that much, It was, just grab with your fingers and you'd be good. And at times might be like that. You might have to fucking share, cans of fucking bean together, man. And that might be the only fucking thing you're gonna eat that day. But we're already training for these things. We're already prepared for these things, because we already that's why Scripture said be content with what you got, whatever you got, whether you have much or whether you have less. The Lord is preparing us for these times. And I notice it now in everything that I do. When something goes wrong, sometimes you get a little frustrated and shit, but sometimes, man, you can't really get too frustrated like that. That's when you grow the fuck up, man. A lot of things shouldn't really get on your nerves like that as much when you first came to the truth, man. A lot of things you should just say, whatever, man. It's the will of the Lord. If something goes wrong, man, you should just be like, fuck it. So, it's not always going to be like that, but, man, Jake need to really grow up, man. I'm starting to really, I'm going to push that more, man. Shouldn't be mad at every fucking little thing, man. Because we are, especially us, we know fucking better, man. We know us, the prophets of the Lord, our lives are shit, man. The Lord bless us here and there, and every day ain't going to be fucking doom and gloom and horrible. But we understand that it's not going to be as good as everybody else's. There's going to be times where we're going to have less. There's going to be time. Hey, the Lord gives and the Lord takes. We of all people know and understand that. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, man, these things are like, because we prophesying, right? We prophets. We're not only prophesying to these 2/3 niggas, man. We prophesying to ourselves too. To you brothers, man. We got prepared for these things. Prepare to not be able to eat. The only thing you might eat that fucking day is a goddamn beef jerky, man. Or, a beef stick and shit, man. Or, a block of cheese or something, man. You see? And that's not always going to be good. But, hey, maybe next day the Lord going to bless you a little bit more. Because, the Lord ain't going to have us starving. But I know it's going to be times where it's going to be testing going on. But it says, and fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. Yeah, man, that's what's going to happen too, man. I had dreams like that before. I had a dream where it was me and another brother. I know he's a big, strong brother, man. I remember he was just preaching, man. And he was preaching Matthew 5. I remember that. And there was a lot of people, bro. There was a lot of northern tribe out there. He was outside and shit. And it was the southern tribe too, cause this nigga it was like, I remember it now. He was like a blood or some shit, and I think I had blue on. It was something stupid. He tried to like shoot me, and he actually did shoot me. He shot me with a shotgun, and then it had no effect. And then people was amazed. They was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, I'm joking and shit. Like, you seen that movie, Shazam? This is actually before that movie came out. But that scene when he was in the what's that shit called? He was in the corner store, and then somebody shot him. This is when he was first discovering his power, and somebody shot him and shit. And then, he was bulletproof, and he was like, oh shit. He was joking and you can't kill me, you can't hurt me. He was joking. I forgot exactly what he was saying, but that's how the dream was. the dude shot me, and I'm like, it didn't affect me. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, nigga, do it again. Yeah, I'm just joking, and he kept shooting, and he was amazed. Everybody was amazed, like, what the fuck? And then his grandma came out and was like, man, you stop shooting that nigga. You know what I mean? His grandma, his mother, whatever it was. But then after that, yeah, I seen it was like maybe like 30, 40 Northern tribe women. They was on the other, they was like in front of me. And then after that happened, they all came behind me. You know, like symbolizing they started following me. You know what I mean? That was 7 women taking hold of 1 man. But after that, you know, I was still without care, man. I was just talking shit, like, not, you know, in a good way, not like taking a lot of the truth. I'm like, I think I was performing miracles and stuff like that, and a brother, he was preaching Matthew 5, man. You know, so these things are gonna, and that's a spirit too. That's that's the POD I put. I think I put that last night. You know, how we gonna perform miracles. You know, and that's what's gonna happen too, man. We gonna perform miracles. But it says, and sold their possession and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need. My fault. And all that believed were together and had all things common. I forgot to read that part. It's like about 46. And they continually daily with one accord in the temple, breaking bread from house to house. They eat their heart with gladness and singleness of heart. You see? But you see that right there? It says they broke bread from house to house. You know? So, hey man, that's why I love going out to different cities, man. You know, when brothers offer me to go to a different room and shit like that, have my own little room. Sometimes I do want that, you know, if I do want to just be alone or whatever. But majority of the time, bro, I don't know, bro. I don't want to be over righteous, and I don't want to be too humble or whatever. But sometimes I literally just want to be around brothers, man. Cause I don't know, like I said, it just feels like an honor. Cause it feels like the Book of Acts. It's exactly what they was doing in the Book of Acts, you know. And also, too, it also feels like family. You know, I remember going to your cousin's house, or your cousin, your god brother, or whoever come visit you. You know, I remember my god brother come visit me. We would sleep in the living room. You know, my friend, one of my best friend, you know, we would sleep in the living room. We had a little bed and shit. You sleep on the bed together, man. His head would be that way, my head would be that way. You know. And I remember that night too. That was a crazy night, cause we went to sleep and shit, man. Just real quick, this just shows you this world is wicked. But we were sleeping and shit, and right next door to us, man, some nigga was committing adultery. I heard the story afterwards, but I heard the whole thing, man. Somebody came in that house and shot the house. Like, they busted the door, shot the house up, shot that nigga, and the dude was on the porch, man. I remember hearing this shit, bro. And he was just on a porch. He was like, man, somebody help me. And I remember I couldn't see him, because on the side of the house, there was a window, but you gotta walk up the stairs to kind of see. I couldn't see him, but I can just hear him crying out for help. And he got fucked up. But that just shows you how wicked this world is, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't even have your own little, you know, a friend over and just sleep, you know what I mean? Niggas just trying to kill each other and shit, man. You know, but hey, man, that's gonna happen more too, though. You know, it's gonna be Jacob's trouble. Brothers gonna be sleeping and shit. You're gonna hear a lot of commotion. Niggas getting killed, getting shot up. Niggas calling out for help. And hey, man, the Lord at that time, the Lord put a cold spirit on me. I ain't go wake up my mom, but hey, go Carl, please. I'm just listening to this shit, man. You know? And that day, we ain't gonna be helping these niggas, man. Unless they sincere. You know, and the believers. You know? But other than that, man, we just gonna be like, man, whatever, man. You know? But hey. But, there's many other different examples, though. You know what I'm saying? But, see, here's another one real quick. Acts 10 and 5. It says, and now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. he lodged with one Simon, a tanner, whereas that one he deals with making leather. You know, a tanner, they make leather. Alright, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. See, he lodged with that brother. You know what I'm saying? Alright. And, you know, there's many more different examples. But yeah, man. You know, and we just gotta show each other hospitality. And let me see. Yeah, I just want to show something real quick, because this shows you the hospitality that their brothers had in the ancient world, man. This shows you the hospitality that we have. Let me see. This Lot, we took those two angels in. Now, just to give the context now, look, so pretty much, you know, because in the ancient world, you know, we had extra room for sojourners, you know, people that's traveling. So when they come, you be like, hey, you know, brother, you can sleep at my crib. You know, I believe they said the same thing in that Good Samaritan parable. Lot, you know, was an example, and there's another one example too. I believe, yeah, that priest in the Book of Judges. I forgot who took him in. Somebody took him in and let him lodge there. You know, this is, like I said, this is part of our culture. But now, you ain't about to just accept no random ass nigga in your home. The scriptures say that. Don't just accept a stranger into your home unless he disturb thee. You know, because you might bring him in, and this nigga might be a fucking creep. He might be, you know, he might try to kill you or try to rob you or anything, you know. Now, that's why scripture says when you do good, know to who you're doing it to. You know, you do it to the brothers and them only, you know. Because it can be a brother, he might be a stranger. There's times where, when I went to Dallas, I never met those brothers before. You know, Atlanta, you know, Cleveland, Chicago, the first times I went there, you know. But every single time, bro, the brothers let me in. You know, here, you can sleep here. You know, here's a bed. Here's, you know, we completely strangers, but we know that we're still known. Okay, you know, we don't, you know. Okay, I know this man been doing the work for years. Okay, I know this brother. I know this brother. He knows this brother. So okay, he good. But at the same time, we still brothers. But because like Elder Uriah said, we got the same father, which is Yahweh Shai. But at the same time, we're still technically strangers, because it's my first time meeting you. But really, like Elder Makama said, really, if read those men from the beginning, it's not really a first time meeting. It really just, it's a reunion pretty much. But to us in the flesh, that's why we don't think fleshly. We think beyond that. We think through the spirit. You know what I'm saying? So that's why in that time, man, it's going to have to be the spirit, man. We ain't going to just let anybody else in our home. No, it's going to be brothers and a few sisters and a few children, the holy children that's going to believe this truth. You know? But it says, now this is when Lot brought those two angels into his home, and then the Sodomites try to fucking break them, you know? So this is his reaction to that. It says, and Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you. In which he was being wise as a serpent, because if you read down, his daughters actually did have husbands, but she, you know, because they said his sons-in-law, you know what I mean, because they fucking died in that city, because it said his sons-in-law, they mocked, you know, they thought that they was as one as mocked. They was mocking at it all. The Lord ain't about to destroy this place. You know, they was talking shit. But he said that. He said, man, you can have my fucking daughters, bro. He'd rather give his daughters up than to let those brothers get, grapes. That's the hospitality, that brotherly love that we have for each other, man. You know what I'm saying? That you will go to that extreme. So let me, I pray you bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as it good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. You see? So, hey, man. So, yeah, man. So, brothers under your roof, man, you got to take care of that brother. And that brother that's under your roof, you got to respect that brother's home. It goes both ways, man. And like I said, man, those days are coming, man, where, brothers are going to have to stack up. Might be a whole camp. It might be 15 men in the camp. And you might not be able to afford. Y'all might have to sleep in an abandoned house together, man. It is what it is. That's why, the scripture says we are soldiers, man. We are the original soldiers, We are the original soldiers. These guys out that blow up shit and shoot shit. They do it. They carnal soldiers, man. But everything starts spiritually first. We are the original soldiers of the Most High. But you look up different soldiers when they, like the Battle of Fallujah. You know what I'm saying? When they was in Iraq, they was going from home to home. It was very close quarter combat. So sometimes they were busting homes and they're like, all right, we're gonna sleep in here. You think that was comfortable? You think, some probably got bullet holes and shit like that, you know what I mean? Some parts probably didn't have no fucking beds, but hey, you went to sleep in that motherfucker, man. Same thing with us, man. The brothers in GMS and the like-minded, we are the soldiers. We got the mindset of soldiers, man. And we able to sleep anywhere, just like our forefather. Just like our forefather Jacob, we came from him. All right. So like it. All right. Let me see. Genesis 28:18. It says, and Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillow and set up for, man, come on, man. Why the fuck would you go to the... See, sometimes Esau don't be on point, man. That's what I be talking about, man. You're supposed to have with the beginning of the scripture. Alright. UZ. Alright. Was it 28? Yeah, 28 and 11. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillow and lie down in a place to sleep. All right, so yeah, man. Jacob laid his head on a stone, man. And that just shows you the resilience of the Israelites, man. We can really be comfortable with anything. Jake go through so much shit, man. We make shit work, man. One way or the fuck another, man. Even way we sleep, like I can literally sleep anywhere, man. I might squirm a little bit like a dog, and then once I find that comfortable spot, I'm comfortable. I slept outside before. I slept on a bench before, man. You know what I'm saying? Slept on a hard-ass floor, carpet, all that. And Jacob can do that, man. We can endure. Esau can't, man. Esau lose a portion of his riches, man. They gonna jump off the fucking bridge, man. Jake, we gonna survive, man. So, hey, so be prepared for rough times. And, yeah, man, it's gonna be a little uncomfortable, man. But hey, Jake already comfortable with being uncomfortable. So with that, hopefully it's edifying. Give our praise and glory to Yahweh Shemi Hashem Haggadah, the bounce to the pastor GMS Ruel, Shalom to the brothers in this works. That must say Shalom.